Hi, my name is Giovanna Hammond. I am a mental health worker and a performing artist and a filmmaker, and I'm in a band, and I've just been interviewed by Keith Andrew, who is awesome.
G'day, you're about to watch Keith Andrew on the Keith Andrew Network show, where it's okay to be yourself. Be inspired and encouraged by people who make the sky their limit. Keith Andrew!
Don't adjust that dial. You're watching the Keith Andrew Network live from the United States. Today, we are live from Australia with a good friend of mine. That being said, the first question I want to say for our listeners, and it's very important, get yourself out there, get vaccinated. The sooner everyone gets vaccinated, the sooner things will go back to normal. Now, with that being said, and there's nothing else to plug, first question I want to ask you is, what is the biggest change you made in your acting career?
The biggest change that I've made? Oh, actually, that would be going from theatre to screen. So I started out with doing a lot of stage shows since I was very young. And then I moved into screen work in 2016, and it is hugely different. It's completely a different style. So, yeah, I struggled there for a little bit. My actions were way too big for the screen, and I had to learn to tone it down. And, you know, the smaller the action, the better it is. So, yeah, so that would be the biggest change that I made.
No, absolutely. Now, are you interested in doing voiceovers?
Yes, I am. I did a couple of voiceover auditions. I didn't get the job, but yes, that would be really fun.
I do a lot. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Last year, just when I was in isolation, you know, when COVID first hit, I did my very first animation. So I got all the little Play-Doh figurines, and I did a whole huge animation, and myself and a few of my friends, we did all the voices to them. So that was so much fun.
No, absolutely. And if anyone goes to the Keith Andrew Network, we're available on all social medias, hashtag Keith Andrew Network. But the thing I was going to say is my channel has like the Human Pyramid challenges, the Jumbo challenges, and I do a lot of fan-made parodies and voiceovers, and you're more than welcome to do some if you're interested.
Yeah, I didn't say no to anything. I'd love to do that.
So, and actually, while on the subject, is stay tuned to the Keith Andrew Network. Make sure to hit that bell icon to be notified. If you're watching on YouTube, when brand new episodes are up and ready. If you're watching on Facebook, hit the notification, like, share, comment. Me and my guests would love to interact with you guys. And the reason I bring that up is I would like to invite you to be a guest and part of the Keith Andrew Network family. So as that being said, stay tuned because you get to see your work as well.
Awesome. I'm all in.
Absolutely. Now, the next question I want to ask you is, what do you consider the highlight of your acting career?
The highlight would be actually, well, you already know this in my first interview that I did a couple of years ago, that I'm a filmmaker. So my highlight was to actually write a script, act in it, and then it going on Amazon Prime. So actually being, showcased on such a really good platform, that would be my highlight.
Hey, you're on the Keith Andrew Network, so I hope that's another highlight.
And on here, of course. Yeah, definitely.
Now, this one, a lot of people in the entertainment world get. For me, not so much, occasionally someone will get throw me a bone. But with you being in the whole entertainment world, what is the best piece of advice you ever get?
Don't ever give up. It is, this industry, it's not as glamorous as what people think. It is very, very tough. It's tough to get in. But you just got to try and enjoy the process. Just enjoy the process of auditions. Get better at auditions, because the more you do, the more confident you get. And try not to make it the be all and end all of your life. Just remember just to enjoy it. Okay, so it can be very demoralizing, Keith, when you go for so many auditions and you don't get anything. Sometimes you hear back, sometimes you get shortlisted, and sometimes you don't hear anything at all. And a lot of actors get very, very down about it, and they start to feel like they're no good and they want to quit. But my advice is, which is advice that I was given, is don't ever quit. Just keep going, because you never know. You just need that one audition that gives you that special break. So just, enjoy the process, and whatever happens, happens. Have a backup plan, for your daytime money that you need. Do that so it's not the be all and end all of your life. So have fun. Just have fun out there.
I agree. So the first question I want to ask you is based about the show, and I don't really do my now. For me, I'm like, should I do my announcement every single time? Because I've been doing it for almost officially 900 episodes. So I'm like, I guess, it is part of the show, but I try to dance away if I'm doing my announcements. I'm like, everyone knows, if you've been watching the Keith Andrew Network, you know what my announcement is. But just for the hell of it, the whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. At the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities, to never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. To prove them, it's that amounts to nothing. So hashtag break the labels. I don't really like to say that every single time I do an episode, but with that being said, it's my own worst critic. But the reason I bring that up is the first thing I want to ask is, besides me, obviously, have you worked with people with disabilities, and are you willing to work with people with disabilities?
I have worked with people with disabilities pretty much my whole working life. So I started out being a teacher. I worked a lot with children who had learning disabilities, autism, processing issues, physical disabilities, and now I'm a mental health worker, and I do a lot of I'm a critical incident and trauma counsellor, and I do work with people with disabilities in that sector as well. But also in my production company, which is Locked In Productions, I actually encourage people with, doesn't matter what the disability is, it doesn't mean anything to me. I just ask, do you want to experience something new? Give it a go. I'll give you something that is within your ability, that, give something a try. And we've had quite a few people who have been in my crew, in my production company, who have just given new skills a go, and they've loved it. We don't even see the disability. It's a fact people have disabilities, but it doesn't have to be an issue. We don't see that. We just see the person. We just see the person on our set is like everybody else who's just working hard to get a production done.
I agree. And now the other question I want to ask you is, for someone who has disabilities who wants to follow in your footsteps, what are some words of wisdom that you want to share?
I would just say block out the people who say you can't do it. Oh, you can't do that. You've got this disability. You know what? You prove them wrong, which is what you said, Keith. Just prove them wrong. If you want to do something, if you want it bad enough, you will get it done. A lot of rich people in this world have got some type of disability. Okay. So they don't let it, tamper with their lives. They don't let it stop them from succeeding. So, hey, I'm not overly an academic person. People think I am, but I'm actually not. I'm a doer. I'm a hands-on person. I'm a very interpersonal person. So if I want to do something, sometimes I think, I don't know, I don't think I'm really smart at this, or, and I personally get scared of trying a lot of things. And then I actually shake it off. I push it aside and I'm like, meh, what's the worst that can happen? I give it a go. It's either going to work or it's not going to work. I'm not going to lose anything by trying. Okay, so block out anyone negative around you who say that you can't do it. You just push them aside and you go for it, okay? Now, I've got to tell you something, Keith. My very, very dear friend, a friend of mine called Rick, I was having one of those negative moments that I have very occasionally in my life, and he gave me a T-shirt and it had a picture of a bullet. And I think it's a cartoon. It's part of a cartoon, and I wasn't familiar with it. And he gave me that T-shirt and he said, be the bullet. The bullet just has a target and just goes bang, and it just goes for it. So whenever I feel that I'm a little bit nervous about going for something, I just think of that bullet. The bullet has no hesitation. It just goes for it. Okay, it just goes straight. It doesn't go like this. It just goes straight. And that's what I do. So that's my recommendation. Just go for it.
Absolutely. Now, the next one I want to ask you is, I was thinking, should I ask different questions? Should I write out different questions? So I said, you know what? I ripped off the first page. I'm going to focus on these questions. So some of these I hinted towards in my early season, but now I'm going to focus on it. It's my main priority. But the question I want to ask you is, how comfortable are you speaking and acting in front of a group of people?
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. As soon as I'm on stage or as soon as I'm in front of a lot of people, as long as I'm confident with what I'm doing and what I have to deliver, I could have a billion people in front of me and it would not faze me at all. At all. I went to a seminar once and I was just a guest, and I was, you know how they have those little sandwiches on the side during the break. I was eating and I was just talking to someone, and it caught one of the presenters' attention, and they called me over and they said, hey, we didn't mean to kind of overhear you, but we kind of like what you were saying. How would you feel about delivering this in a seminar yourself? And I'm like, hell yeah. So I ended up, it was like a couple of weeks later, I delivered a piece on what they wanted me to talk about. I think there were about 500 people in the auditorium. I just love that feeling. As long as I'm confident with what I have to say, it could be a billion people out there. It wouldn't bother me at all.
Absolutely. This would be a hashtag, absolutely. But let me ask you this. How do you know when you delivered an excellent performance? And do you consider yourself, well, let me rephrase that one. When do you know when you delivered a heartfelt, I just actually had a brain for it. For listeners, I don't do my interviews on an everyday basis, so bear with me. So it's two questions in one. First one is, what is your best, I had a brain for it. I'm going to ask you the same question again. Hand out the show.
I know. I think I know what you're trying to ask. You're trying to ask me, how do I know that I've done a good job in an acting job?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. I'll answer that. I used to think it was about the audience reactions. I used to think it was, if you do a good job, people are going to come up to you and say, wow, you did such an amazing job. Good on you. But now it's this might sound corny, but now I've learned that it's what I feel about my performance, if I like it or not. How did I feel when I stepped off the stage or off the camera? How did I feel about it? So, yeah, of course, if people come up to you and say, wow, that was amazing. I recently I've done a couple of commercials, and the producers and the directors came up to me after and said, do you know what? I don't know. You just made that sound so natural. They apparently, the way it was written, they were trying it themselves at home and they couldn't get it right. And when they heard me do it, they're like, that sounded so natural. How did you do that? Now, of course, that does feel amazing when a director and producer tells you, you know, wow, you've done a really good job. Or like There was another time where I did a performance and the editor rang me up and said, I'm crying in front of my screen right now because I'm at that scene. And I just feel like your performance made me so emotional. And that feels amazing, okay? But it comes down to what you feel about it deep down, what you feel about it, okay? If you walk away thinking, you know what? I feel really good about that scene, then I know I've done a good job, because we are the most critical on ourselves. I will look at something that I do and I'll be like, oh God, I'm so embarrassed that that's going to go out there. Where somebody else might say, no, you did a fantastic job. No, it looks amazing. But you know in your heart whether it's okay or not. Okay, so for me, I know I've done a good job if I feel happy with it in the end.
No, you're right. You are your own worst enemy. And that brings up the next
Yep.
question I want to ask you is, how did becoming an actor change and shape you in your personal life?
Well, my parents always said that I was a very, very timid and very quiet child, believe it or not. You wouldn't never know that with the way I talk. But I used to be a very quiet and timid child. I didn't have a lot of confidence growing up. Not even, as a teenager, I was just quiet. I wasn't really out there. And then when I did stage work, you learn to do improvisations. It's all about trust. Acting is about trust. You trust other people. They trust you in what you do. And you develop certain skills. The director says you need to project more. So you're forced to get a bit louder. And by getting louder, you need to be more confident. So I guess acting and performing arts in general has really taught me how to be a confident person. I'm not afraid to talk and to tell people, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling, to deliver, presentations in my work. So I know how to work a room. I would never have known how to work a room if it wasn't for performing arts. So I would say performing arts changed me into a much more confident person.
I can actually relate to that. 10 years ago, not even 10, let's go back 15, 20 years ago, I'm not the same person who I am now. I wish I was. But there are times where you actually have to be your own personal cheerleader and kick yourself in the ass and say, you can sit here and say, poor me, I shoulda, woulda, coulda. No one is going to hand you anything. If you want something, you have to get off your ass and say, I will show you no matter what. With the blood, sweat, and tears, I can amount to any, and go up and beyond to any standards that you hold and any goals that I reach for myself. And you're an example of that, and I'm an example of that.
Keith, can I add to that? What I tell my children and what I tell any person that I work with is it's okay to be scared, but do not let your fear take over, because in the end, it's just fear. That's all it is, okay? So if you want to do something, yes, change is scary. Doing something new is scary, okay? And it's okay to be scared. It's just a feeling. That's all it is. It is okay to feel fear. But don't let that fear stop you from chasing dreams, because the moment you do that, you're just going to stay in a little box and you're going to be unhappy for the rest of your life. You need to challenge yourself to grow as a person. I used to be scared of everything. Actually, there's still a lot of things that I'm actually scared of. But, I just try to face the fears head on. I mean, you'll never get me jumping out of an airplane or something like that. That will just never happen. Forget that. But when it comes to new challenges and new activities in life, like I've always wanted to be in a band, Keith. I always wanted to be in a band. And I've been a musician my whole life, but a private musician. I just play for me. But during COVID last year, it was early this year, I joined a band. which is we met David and Walter last week. I joined their band, and that's a little bit scary because they've been playing in a band for years, and that was my first real band experience. So I didn't let my fear take over. I just went for it. I asked them, can I be in this band? So I helped them out with a little recording gig. They wanted me to help them record 2 songs because I'm a keyboard player. And I loved the experience so much. And I said, you know what? I really want to join this. I really want to do it. And so I'll be making my first debut very soon as we get out of isolation. And I'm just so excited. So, yeah, you just got to go for it. It doesn't matter if you're scared. Who cares? Scared is just a feeling like anything else. Just go for it. Go do it. And you know what? The thoughts in your head are actually a lot worse than what things are in real life. So in your brain, you say, oh, my gosh, I'm going to muck up. I'm going to make mistakes. Everyone's going to laugh at me. I'm going to embarrass myself. But usually that doesn't happen. Usually you're being a bully to yourself and the bad things happening in here, but not in real life. So just go for it.
You're absolutely right. Well, let me ask you this, because you are an inspiration. You got your dream of being in a band. You worked in theater. You're in the entertainment world. But out of everything that you accomplished, what is your claim to fame?
I think for me, it's combining everything I've ever done in my life. So I've been a teacher. I've been a mental health worker. I did singing, dancing, acting, piano, and I've put it all into one. I wrote a couple of movies, but my last movie, which was The Target, it was about bullying, Keith, and that's when you met me originally. I put all the knowledge and everything I've ever done, I put it in a script, filmed the script, made a full feature movie, and it went on Amazon Prime. That would be my accomplishment.
And the last one I want to ask you is, look, there's so many good ones. The last one it's similar to what is your claim to fame, but in a different way. What are you most likely to become famous for?
I don't really know if I would actually ever get famous, to be honest. And what I do is not for, my aim is not ever to, that's not my aim. My aim's not to be famous. My aim is to be happy. I just want to be happy. I'm a restless person. If I don't do stuff, I will drive my husband and my children completely crazy. I'm very active. Even at work, I'm very active. They know to give me lots of work because otherwise I get very restless. So for me, if I was to become famous, could be for my mental health work and, making movies. I made a TV show, which was called The Travel Counsellor. It went on community TV, and that was a show on mental health. It was basically counselling in a TV show. So it's teaching people skills on how to get through different kind of scenarios, and it was a drama. So I think it could be, if it ever was to happen, which is not my aim, but if it was to happen, it probably could be a combination of mixing my mental health work with my writing, with my movie making.
No, absolutely. You have to be passionate about what you do. For me, I should talk, right? I always do things half-ass, but you never know who you're going to meet. You never know who's going to walk in and see you, and you always get the first 10 seconds to make a lasting impression. But I do have a couple questions for you off the air. But with the last 4 minutes, I'm going to pass it over to you. But with that being said, when I approached you to be a guest on my show for a second time, what made you say yes? How do you feel now? And you can say anything you want. Passing it over to you.
Keith, you're my little, New York sweetheart. I just love you to death. So I loved the first interview, and, I was actually quietly waiting for you to ask me again to be on your show. So when you did, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm there. So I'm very happy to do this. I'm always happy to connect with you. You're just such a beautiful, authentic person. Your message to people is really heartwarming. You know what it's like to have disabilities and how hard life can be. You know how hard things can be for you, and therefore, you've overcome all that stuff, or you're overcoming it. Maybe there's some times where people still might try to drag you down, like they do. But I feel with you, you're genuinely trying to help other people who watch your show to just, go for it. Just don't listen to the haters. Don't listen to the people who try to suppress you and put you down. Those people who just see a person for a disability, they're the ones with the problem. Okay. You don't ever see a person for a disability. You just see a person for who they are. Everybody's got strengths and everybody's got weaknesses. Okay. You don't have to be diagnosed with a disability, to not, you don't have to be good at everything. But why I say yes to you, and I will always say yes to you, is because you're very authentic and you're very genuine. Okay. I love you. Mwah.
Likewise. Now, how can our fans get in touch with you? Are you on social media?
Yes. So Locked In Productions is my Facebook page. I've got an email address, which is locked_in@bigpond.com. So yeah, if anybody wants to have a chat to me, I'm more than happy to talk to you.
No, absolutely. Now, wrapping up our talk. So if you're watching on YouTube, hit that notification. You will be notified of brand new episodes, shows, and content will be available. If you're watching on Facebook, leave a like, subscribe, tell your friends, family, tell everyone you know to get on board. And remember, until we meet again, catch you later. Thank you, and have a good night.